win the game. Come on, throw it. Throw it.
Yeah! The Fantasy Frauds. We're covering everything from your sleepers to your busts, making sure you get to that championship.
This is bullshit.
Honey.
Babe, can't you see I'm busy?
Here's your host, Alson Buckley, ready to get you started on 24/7 Miami.
All right.
Yeah, Fantasy Frauds, what's going on? Week 1 has just been written in the books, and what a week 1 it was. I know all of you were excited. Your fantasy teams, hopefully you're all 1-0. If not, 0-1's not bad, guys. It's only week 1, and the main thing that you guys need to worry about is not to worry at all. Because week 1, there's a couple things that happen week 1. Sure, you get injuries, but you get to see the players that you picked, how they're panning out. And I got to tell you, I am super excited about my teams. Hopefully you guys are excited about your teams. But I want to get started right now. I want to start talking about it. Week 1, everybody out there was thinking, what is Tom Brady going to do? Is Tom Brady going to be a good quarterback? Is he going to come out sluggish? Well, he proved everybody wrong. Tom Brady came out against Pittsburgh and he just blew up. He has a guy named Gronkowski. Has anybody heard of Gronkowski? Yeah, I'll tell you who has heard of it. Pittsburgh has heard of Gronkowski, and Gronkowski ran all over the field on them. Tom Brady's got a tremendous weapon there, guys. And for those of you who picked up Tom Brady late, kudos to you guys, because you guys are really reaping the benefits. You will be all season. It looks like they got everything working over there in the offense. I mean, you're talking about Julian Edelman just going across the field, picking up passes anywhere Tom Brady throws it. Aaron Dobson's out there too, catching some passes. But Gronkowski, man, I can't say enough about Gronkowski. He was just a beast. That nobody could cover him. 3 touchdowns. I mean, there was a time where there was a fumble in the goal line. He almost had another touchdown there. Needless to say, 2 plays later, he catches the touchdown. It was just a spectacular vision to see what the New England Patriots are. And in your fantasy team, you guys are happy. It is just incredible that for those of you who picked Tom Brady, waited 7th round, 8th round, where he was mostly picked up. I mean, unless somebody was really high on him. And if so, it was really worth it to wait. Another guy that we all expected to be this, and that's number 1 draft pick, wide receiver, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, although they were losing, he had himself a game. He was targeted in the first quarter 7 times. He caught 5 receptions in the first quarter. I mean, he's going to be the guy that we expected. You don't have to worry about Antonio Brown. You can start him confidently every single week. He's going to get you those 7 to 12 receptions a game. He had a touchdown in this game as well. It's not anything that was unexpected. So, that's good to see. Listen, another thing that was kind of a question mark coming in is tight ends. Nobody knew tight. Everybody knew Gronkowski. Everybody knew Jimmy Graham, but nobody knew what was going to happen with the tight ends this year. Were the tight ends going to be, how they were 2-3 years ago? There was a lot of tight ends that stepped it up this week, guys. And the one guy that comes to mind right away is Travis Kelce for the Kansas City Chiefs. He comes in. Listen, Kansas City has not thrown any touchdowns to wide receivers. I know Macklin is going to come around, guys. I wouldn't worry if you guys chose Macklin. But I do want to say that it stayed the norm there. Travis Kelce, 2 touchdowns. Jamal Charles, a touchdown as well, receiving. It's working out over there, guys. You just got to let it ride. If you have Macklin, don't even worry about it. It's going to be a good thing. But Travis Kelce, guys, going back to what I started talking about, he is your number 3 tight end. He made it a point to show that he's going to be a dominant factor in the tight end position this year, 2015. I also want to give you a surprise quarterback. Last year, this quarterback was hurt, out with ACL tear, and he comes back strong. Carson Palmer. He did great while he was there last year before he got injured. He came back against New Orleans. It was going to be a shootout there. We all knew it. New Orleans struggled. Drew Brees had a pretty good game, decent game, 14 to 18 points, depending on your fantasy format. But Carson Palmer, he was spreading the ball around. You saw Fitzgerald sightings, guys, and it was a lot. It wasn't just 2 or 3 passes here. No, he was looking at everybody. John Brown, he got his touchdown. That is my sleeper of the year, and John Brown is going to continue to be a great wide receiver, so keep riding him. But Carson Palmer, if you guys are looking for a quarterback and he is sitting in the waiver wires, you got to go out there. You just got to go out there and pick him up because he's going to be very valuable for you. Maybe you have a great quarterback like a Tom Brady. That's great. Everyone's gunning for Tom Brady, guys. A lot of people in the NFL think that it's an unfair advantage that he has because he's Tom Brady. It doesn't matter, guys. You never know. He may get hurt. He may be out a week or two. How great to have Carson Palmer. Not only that, listen, I picked up Carson Palmer in all my fantasy drafts as my backup. There's players that are going to be here eventually, other guests that they'll be able to attest to that. I just felt like he was going to have a good season, but it looks like he's going to have a great season. So if you guys have him in the waiver wire, go and pick him up. He's going to have an outstanding time for you. Another guy, DeMarco Murray, he started off slow, but he picked it up there at the end. Philadelphia offense was just not firing at all until the second half. DeMarco Murray then went nuts, had 2 touchdowns. He's going to be exactly what we expect him to be as well. One of the surprises that I had, Amir Abdullah. I honestly, when I saw Joique Bell actually came back to Detroit, I really thought Amir Abdullah was going to take a little bit of a back seat, but the Lions did not hold him back at all. He came out. He ran wild. He scored a touchdown early in the game. He's going to be a special talent. If you guys have Amir Abdullah, that is a very great pick, and he's going to have a great season for you. But if there's one guy in this week of fantasy that impressed me more than Gronkowski, I know you guys know who I'm going to say, right? You know who I'm going to say? Run and hide. Carlos Hyde is a beast. I mean, the 49ers had a great running back in Frank Gore, but they got rid of him, and they were happy about that. Why? Because they have Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, moves like Madden. It's crazy. It's like he has his own joystick, and he's just juking around like a crazy guy out there and getting 12-yard, 22-yard runs, touchdowns. He is amazing, guys. I think that he's going to end up top 5 running back this year. That's right. I said it. Bold prediction from the Fantasy Fraud. Top 5 running back this year, Carlos Hyde. He's going to be outstanding this year. And no surprise here. I really think that Tampa Bay made a mistake picking Jameis Winston number 1. Mariota, he showed why he should have been the number 1 pick. He had a great game as well. 4 touchdowns out there, number 1 versus number 2. First time in NFL history that the number 1 quarterback and the number 2 quarterback face off. So impressive showing by Mariota. He's out there for sure as well in the waiver wires. If you want to pick him up, I don't see a problem picking him up. He's going to be great for you if you're struggling with your quarterback. And then Keenan Allen comes back strong. Rough 2014 year. 2015. He's going to make a difference this year. He's going to show you what he should have been. And those third-year wide receivers for fantasy, they always know how to get it done. So I am happy that I have Keenan Allen in my squad this year as well. And believe it or not, Keenan Allen fell to me here in our 24/7 Miami League as an auto pick because I just wasn't paying attention and it auto picked him. And boy, am I glad that I got him in my team. So there's a lot to talk about, guys. That's just a little bit of a rundown of what happened week 1. Lots of names that were good out there, really did their thing, but there's some names that it's tough to see that they had a bad fantasy week. And in the next segment, I'm going to go and I'm going to get to those names, let you know who had a bad fantasy week, and we're going to talk all about it. We're going to break it down here in the Fantasy Frauds on 247miami.tv. Keep it locked right here. Don't go anywhere.
It's been said that he buried a time capsule full of things that haven't happened yet. If he needs a quick escape, he just walks out the front door. His bear hugs are actually hugs he gives to bears. He's been pronounced dead 7 times. Make that 8. He can't be bought, but his beard clippings occasionally come up at auction. He's never lost a sock. If he disagrees with you, it's because you are wrong. He has never saved anything for a rainy day. He is the most interesting man in the world.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I prefer Dos Equis.
Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Yes, folks, you're listening to the Fantasy Frauds here on 247miami.tv and watching it on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page. We have our Facebook page, 247miami. We have also Twitter, where you can follow us there at 247miami, Instagram, and of course, subscribe to YouTube so you can catch a weekly episode of the Fantasy Frauds. Now, let's get back to the show with our main man, Al Simbaco.
All right, Fantasy Frauds, we're back here on our second segment. In our last segment, we talked about all the great things that happened, all the wonderful expectations that we saw some players get to, some surprises, some I knew it, and you can't forget, though, about the ones that just didn't get it done for you. You know, it's week 1, guys. You can't jump the gun too quickly on players. There's a lot of players out there that had rough week 1s, and it's not due to their inability to play. I mean, there's just certain factors every Sunday that come along. You know, maybe you're down. The team is down too much, so the running game's got to go away. Team is up too much, so the passing game's got to go away. There's a lot of factors in football every single Sunday, and you know that's going to be the norm every single week. But don't freak out, guys. I would say if you have players and those players you're kind of on the seesaw about, you may have to wait until about week 4 or 5 to make a decision on them. Week 1, just not the right thing. And the people that I'm talking about is Demaryius Thomas. Now, here's an interesting thought on Demaryius Thomas. There's been a lot of talk about Peyton Manning, and is Peyton Manning going to be that quarterback this year? Well, yeah, I think Peyton Manning is probably going to gun. This may be his last year. Maybe he has 2 in him. I want to say this is his last year, and I think that he wants to go out strong. He doesn't want to go out weak. But you're going to see in a brand new offense, he's going to struggle, and that's what you saw this week with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning struggled a lot. Not only did Peyton Manning, but everybody in the Denver offense that has fantasy implications had a rough week. That being said, 3 players come to mind right away, aside from Peyton Manning. Where was CJ Anderson? CJ Anderson is the starting running back there for Denver, but he couldn't get anything done. CJ Anderson struggled a lot, only got 4 fantasy points in some formats. Demaryius Thomas, again, 5 fantasy points in formats that may include PPR, maybe 7, 8 points, but still rough game for somebody that you know is a fantasy stud. And a lot of people who had him on their team are probably thinking to themselves, man, what do I do with Demaryius Thomas? This is a very tough situation, guys. I want to wait. If I had Demaryius Thomas, I would wait, like I said, week 4, week 5, see how that offense starts to click under Gary Kubiak's strategy. It could turn around. It could get better, or it could stay more or less what you saw this week. And if that's the case, that's a scary situation to think about. But here's a guy that I wouldn't worry about, guys. Megatron. Calvin Johnson with the Detroit Lions had himself possibly the worst game he's ever had in his career. Only 4 catches, 32 yards. I mean, just very, very slow production for Calvin Johnson this week in a game that was very high-powered. I mean, you had Phillip Rivers there throwing the ball around, Keenan Allen blowing up, Stevie Johnson there making touchdown passes, Ladarius Green also grabbing passes, Danny Woodhead, coming from the backfield. There was a lot of offense to be played there. And the Detroit Lions just really decided to concentrate on that running game. So that Amir Abdullah got a great game because of that. So is that going to happen very often? No. Listen, Matt Stafford knows what type of weapons he has, and he's gonna use them, guys. And that coaching staff knows that he's gonna use them. So I wouldn't worry at all about Megatron. He's gonna come back strong week 2, guys. He's got a great matchup. I definitely start him this week. Just don't worry, guys. Don't be so overly consumed about one player that had a bad week. Week 1 is exactly that, guys. Week 1, it's where you test it. It's where you're testing the waters. You're seeing where that team is going, and you just gotta wait it out. A lot of people, I have buddies of mine that made trades week 2 because their one guy, Demaryius Thomas, case in point, was traded off after week 2 because he started off slow. What happened? Week 3, week 4, the guy blows up. He starts averaging 18 to 20 points a game. And that guy's kicking himself in the ass because he didn't want to wait. And those are things that you have to be patient about in fantasy. You can't expect your players just to blow up because you think they're going to blow up. That's not the way it works in fantasy, guys. You got to be excited about it. It's a game. It's fun to watch the games, to see your players blow up. Just don't get overly excited or overly concerned about the players that you have right now. Listen, I'm talking up a good storm on Carlos Hyde and how amazing he did. Next week, he could have a tough game going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had a rough game with New England. That defense might tighten up now. Carlos Hyde may not be a 168-yard rusher and 2 touchdowns, but I doubt it. I think he's going to be just as great. But it could happen, guys, and you can't freak out about it. Another guy who everybody had huge expectations for. I mean, this guy's been talked about since July, and the expectations of him coming back to the game, you all know I'm talking about Adrian Peterson. And what does he do against San Francisco? A defense that everybody said was not the same, doesn't have the same players, not going to be as strong as they used to be. Peterson comes out, runs 10 times for 31 yards. I mean, if I tell you that San Francisco is playing Minnesota Vikings and one of the running backs is going to come out with 168 yards and 2 touchdowns, everybody in this Periscope or listening to this radio show right now would have said it was Adrian Peterson. Not this week, guys. And that's the way it is, guys. You just can't give up. Nobody here is going to trade Adrian Peterson. Okay, let's be realistic. We all are going to wait and see on what he does. It's a disappointment, though, that Minnesota did not use him the way he should be used. I saw him sitting on the sideline a lot. Did it have a lot to do with the fact that, they were down the whole game? Yeah, that's fine. But you have Adrian Peterson. How do you not use him to your advantage to try and get the score up? You know what I mean? So I think a lot of that had to do with Minnesota just not knowing what to do with Adrian Peterson. Just a little bit concerned that he may get hurt because he didn't have any offseason workout or any preseason practice. Regardless, he's Adrian Peterson, guys. Don't get carried away. He's going to have a great game for you guys throughout the season. Another guy that was very disappointing, and it even hurts more that he got injured, and that's Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant, number 1 wide receiver this year, picked off the board in anywhere between the 7th overall and 12th overall pick, was going to be an absolute beast of a wide receiver. First week out, 5 catches, broken foot. Out now. Some saying 4 to 6 weeks, some saying 8 weeks. I know Dallas doesn't want to put him on the injured reserve because that'll keep him out for sure until week 9. But, this is somebody now that you have to make a decision on. What are you going to do? Your number 1 wide receiver is out possibly 8 weeks. You got to go out there. You got to play that waiver wire. Do you trade him away? Is he some sort of trade bait to somebody? At this point, no. But if you're having a good fantasy season, and let's say it's week 7 and you are, I say 5-2, you're doing well. You may want to wait those 2 extra weeks for Dez Bryant and have him back in your lineup. But if it's week 7 and you're 3-4, then you're going to be a little bit optimistic about wanting to wait, because in 2 weeks you could be 3-6 and definitely out of the playoffs. So he may become trade bait later on. You may want to trade him off for better players in your team, and that is something that you can think about when you have Dez Bryant. Going back to the injuries, guys, there was a rap load of injuries week 1, and not only injuries to, players, but injuries to good players. And Dez Bryant, first round pick, he's now gone for 8 weeks. We have T.Y. Hilton, and I know Hilton has a little knee bruise, not that big a deal, but he's going to be out of your lineup now, guys, for 2 to 3 weeks, possibly, maybe 4 if it doesn't really heal that well. So that's a big loss there, for people who picked up T.Y. Hilton in the 3rd round, maybe 4th round. It's tough to see somebody like that go down. You also had Andre Ellington, starting running back, who everybody expected to have a huge year. First game out, and he's got injured knee. I mean, I read something on NFL Network that there was that he was the projected running back to get injured this year. Boy, were they on point. 1 week and he gets injured. It's a pity, but hey, what do these injuries bring, guys? You got to look at the glass half full when it comes to fantasy football. And these injuries bring waiver pickup opportunities, because there are now people who were not starters that will be starting now. People like there's two running backs, guys, that you have to pick up. You're probably not going to pick up both of them. But the 2 Johnsons in Arizona right now, Chris Johnson, C2K, probably going to be reviving his career right now in Arizona now that Ellington is gone, and David Johnson. And for those of you who don't know who David Johnson is, David Johnson came out. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my phone there. Don't worry about it. David Johnson, he comes out one play, and in that one play, he takes it 56 yards for a touchdown. 56 yards for a touchdown on one play. That's the only play he had. But he's going to be somebody that you're going to want to look for, because CK2 is a little bit long in the tooth there, and his longevity is always in question. So you have to see that the younger player has a little bit more upside. But Chris Johnson will definitely start this coming week. Just keep your eye out on David Johnson. He's somebody that you're going to want to look out for, guys. So we're going to wrap it up here with this segment. We're going to come back on the other side, and we're going to talk about the waiver wire claims that are going to be out there for you to pick up. And I got a slew of people here that just did amazing things week one. And guys, when you want to pick up your waiver wires, when you want to make claims, it's during these first 2 weeks of the season, because that's when people start to show up. Listen, last year, week 2, there was a player who was the stud of the year that came out, and that's Julius Thomas. He was a waiver wire pickup. Nobody picked him up in the draft. I'm sorry, not last year, the year before last, 2013. Nobody picked him up in the draft 2013. Peyton Manning came out, made him a star, and he is still a star right now because of his abilities. Those are the people I'm going to tell you about right now, guys. So keep it locked right here, 247miami.tv. I'm going to get you covered here. Waiver wire pickups are tomorrow. Everybody that's doing fantasy, waiver wire pickups are tomorrow. So don't forget, keep it locked right here, 247 Miami. Be right back.
What's up, folks? You're listening to the Fantasy Frauds, and you're watching it on YouTube here on 247miami.tv. Well, in a few seconds, we'll be right back with the Fantasy Frauds, but don't forget, this is on Tuesday nights here on 247 Miami. We have Urban Suite, which airs at 6 o'clock, just aired earlier. Then we have another new show called the Doctors of Fantasy Football. So, but the star right now, our main man here, Alcin Baco's right now talking to Periscope, and we'll be coming back to his show. Don't forget, on Friday nights, you have the Fix at 6 with La Masita Rica, Marjorie Londoño, here on 247 Miami, and It's Dirty Laundry with Angela Guevara and Diana and Marjorie. So you can check all that out here on 247miami.tv. And don't forget, also Saturday, the ladies from the Rink Rash Radio are going up to Jacksonville to cover the event of the playoffs that are being held in Jacksonville. They have press credentials. They will be out there. They will be getting interviews. So you can catch all those interviews coming up soon in about a week or so. We're going to have all those shows updated, because this week they're going to be out there. They're going to be out there recording. You can follow them on Periscope at Rink Rash Radio, or you can follow us at 247 Miami. But now let's get back to the man of the hour, Alcin Baco, with the Fantasy Frauds.
All right, guys, Fantasy Fraud segment number 3 here on 247miami.tv. And we're going to talk about the waiver wire, guys. Yeah, everybody loves waiver wires. It's usually set in the order of the stand, reverse order of the standing. So if you are in last place in your league right now, you get the first pick, guys. And that first pick's you got to make it count. There's a lot of people out there who really shine this week that are going to be out there in the waiver wires. And I'm really going right now by what's out there in my leagues. I have 3 different leagues right now, 3 different sites that I'm playing on. And these sites kind of have, for the most part, most of these people right now in their waiver wires. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start it off with tight ends, because like I mentioned in the last show, tight ends was a very rough pick this year. You had Gronk and Jimmy Graham, and then of course everybody picked tight ends. Kelsey was picked. I know Martavius Bryant was picked. You got you got a couple tight ends that are not on the waiver wires, but there's some people that were left there that you may want to think about. So I'm gonna go overhead right now. I'm gonna run by some tight ends that may be available for you. Tyler Eifert for the Detroit Lions had himself an outstanding game in most fantasy formats, over 20 points. That is going to be a continued work in progress there. I think they're going to start getting him more involved in the red zone, trying to keep Megatron safe from those, three guys ganging up on him, double coverage, triple coverage. That he's going to help out that situation a lot, guys. So if he's out there, you're going to want to pick him up. Also, Reed for Washington. A lot of this guy went under the radar. He had himself a game this week, guys. So if he's out there, which he most likely is, Jordan Reed, grab him. Washington Redskins, he's going to be available. For St. Louis, Jared Cook, he is a strong tight end, always has been a strong tight end. Didn't do much last year, but this year has Nick Foles. Nick Foles was looking to him a lot. They just played a defense called Seattle Seahawks. Any of you guys ever heard of them? They're pretty good. Jared Cook had no problem with him. He was manhandling him around the field. He was doing great. And, there's another tight end there in St. Louis who's probably available too, by the name of Kendricks. Oh, yeah, by the way, he scored the game-tying touchdown with only 50 seconds left to go in the game. It was a phenomenal play, and he is going to continue to get the looks from Nick Foles. You may want to look into him. Also, Arizona, I mentioned earlier, Carson Palmer. He's coming back very strong. He was looking to Fells, his tight end. He received a touchdown, 80 yards, had about 8 targets, 7 receptions. Not a bad choice right there. So there's a couple tight ends right there if you guys are interested. If you need a tight end, maybe your tight end, hasn't panned out yet, or you're not feeling comfortable about it, or you want someone better than what you have, may want to look into these dudes right there. They're going to get it done for you. Let's go to running backs. There's never any running backs in fantasy. Fantasy football doesn't have any running backs after the draft. That is wrong, guys. The waiver wire brings you running backs. It's like a gift on Wednesdays for those fantasy teams looking for running backs. As I mentioned earlier, Chris Johnson may be out there. David Johnson. Don't slip on that guy. He is going to be very, very valuable late in the season. How about Darren Sproles? A lot of people sleeping on Darren Sproles, saying he is Darren Sproles, guys. He is what he did in San Diego. He is what he did in New Orleans. He is what he's doing now in the Eagles. And the Eagles have the offense that Darren Sproles can just flourish in. He is a great talent, guys. Out there, if you can get Darren Sproles, go ahead. What a flex option to have. Darren Sproles looking always at about 100 yards combined, possibly a touchdown here and there. You cannot go wrong. If he's out there, grab Darren Sproles. How about another quick, elusive running back in Danny Woodhead? Listen, I know San Diego has Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon is going to be their horse. But Danny Woodhead gets those red zone carries. 2 touchdowns this week, guys. For Danny Woodhead, he is also one of the leaders in that team for San Diego. And he's coming back from a knee injury as well. And he made it happen this past week. He did a great job. He's going to continue to get use of that ball in San Diego because, plainly said, Rivers is going to distribute that rock everywhere. And in the red zone, it's going to be Antonio Gates when he comes back, Malcolm Floyd with his 6'5" frame, or Darren Sproles breaking through the line there in the little holes. I'm sorry, not Darren Sproles. I'm sorry, Danny Woodhead breaking through the lines there. I think he's going to have a great season, guys. Pick him up. Awesome flex option there as a running back. I also let's see, what was my other running back? Those are pretty much the running backs that I had in mind right there. I'm sorry. Daniel Lewis for New England. Belichick hates fantasy players. I got to say it. He just does. Whenever you want to play somebody in New England, aside from Gronk or Tom Brady, it's hit or miss. And Belichick loves this. But he brings out a guy in Lewis who just is quick, speedy, and running all over the place. He's going to continue to do that for New England. I know LeGarrette Blount is going to be back there, and he's going to get a lot of the carries, but don't sleep on Lewis. He's going to continue to get touches in that backfield because they like that type of player, the elusive, quick, speedy player. That is what Julian Edelman is, and that is right now what Lewis is, and they love him there. He was all the talk during that Thursday night opening game. I think he's going to continue to be. Wide receivers, guys. Injuries to Dez Bryant. You're going to want to look at 2 wide receivers there in Dallas. The 2 wide receivers are Terrence Williams, who is in some fantasies, somebody that is in a waiver, and the other one who I can guarantee you is in a waiver, and that's Cole Beasley. He had a lot of targets after Dez Bryant went down, more than Terrence Williams did, but those 2 guys are going to benefit from Dez Bryant's absence. I want you guys to go out there and look for them if you're in need of a wide receiver. Another wide receiver a lot of you were not thinking about, but I mentioned him last week before the season started, and I said he was a good sleeper. Kendall Wright for Kendall Wright for Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota going crazy over there. Kendall Wright and Mariota have a connection there. They're going to continue to have a great connection there. If he is in your waiver wire, go and pick him up. He's going to be a nice wide receiver for you. Flex option, even a wide receiver too. Guys, these are all players in the waiver wires right now that are going to start to be big players for you. You're going to want to go out there and look for them. This guy's out there, Cotchery. I know he comes from the Jets. Didn't do much in the Jets. He's with the Panthers. The Panthers have no wide receivers. After Kelvin Benjamin goes down, all they can look for is Greg Olsen. And Greg Olsen had a rough game this week because everybody knows that's his only option. What happens? In comes Cotchery. Cotchery goes for a touchdown, over 100 yards. Not a bad play this week, guys. Carolina has a good play this week, and I would suggest you go out there and pick up Cotchery. He's going to continue to get those numbers if you need wide receiver help. I also like, guys, I just mentioned T.Y. Hilton gets hurt. Who's going to step up for T.Y. Hilton? T.Y. Hilton, number 1 wide receiver with a quarterback like Andrew Luck. How about Moncrief? How about Moncrief? He's back. He's a number 3. Now automatically jumps to number 2 for 2-3 weeks. I mean, you got to be very excited about having him. He's going to be in your waiver wires. Go out there and grab him. He's going to be putting up numbers for you. Andrew Luck loves the deep ball. Moncrief can get the deep ball, and he's going to be somebody that you're going to want to look out for there in the waiver wires this week. So those are my running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. What about quarterbacks? Is anybody struggling for a quarterback right now? No, week 1, not really. But maybe you're struggling for that backup quarterback. Maybe your backup quarterback didn't do well. Marcus Mariota, guys, he's out there. Unless somebody was high on him during draft day, Marcus Mariota is out there, and he is balling out. I mean, what he did to Tampa Bay this week, I mean, he just wanted to prove to them that they made a mistake, and boy, was he right, because I'll tell you that Mariota looked a lot better than Jameis Winston did. So go out there if you're looking for a quarterback. He's out there. He's definitely going to be someone you want to target. Aside from Alex Smith, who had a pretty decent game, 3 touchdowns, over 200 yards passing. He's going to continue to be that type. He's a very prototypical quarterback, guys. Played for San Francisco. I saw him a lot. Very precise, very on point. He's not going to be your 400-yard passer, 4 touchdown, quarterback. But if you need somebody who's going to be consistent for you, he's going to be a consistent quarterback for you guys. So, guys, I mentioned a lot of players. There's one more wide receiver. It looks like Phillip Rivers is going to be passing that ball around to everybody. Stevie Johnson is in your waiver wire. Go and grab him. He had a touchdown. He had over 80 yards receiving. Keenan Allen, Stevie Johnson. What a combo of wide receivers there for Phillip Rivers. And that's going to continue to be great. So go out there. Be excited this week, guys. It's waiver wires tonight. Go out there. Pick your players. Drop those handcuffs. I don't like handcuffs. Why have a handcuff when you can have a starting running back? That's my opinion on backup running backs. But hey, if you need a running back, I mentioned those running backs to you. Darren Sproles is going to be a great flex player. Danny Woodhead, a great flex player. Guys, these are the people you want to target because come the middle of the season, these are going to be studs you're going to want to have. All right. All right, guys. So that's my segment on the waiver wire claims this week. Go out there, pick them up. Be excited about it because they're going to do very well for you. In our last segment, I'm going to run through a quick stardom sit-em for week 2. We all saw what happened week 1. Maybe the same is going to happen week 2. Maybe it's not. But I'm going to give you some surprises to sit and some surprises to start. You may think I'm crazy or you may think I'm spot on. But we'll find out week 2 if I am right or wrong. So keep it locked right here. 247miami.tv. We got you covered. Fantasy sports. It's all right here. We'll be right back, guys.
Yes, folks, that's Allison Baco here with the calls on the plays for fantasy football here on Fantasy Frauds. You're listening to 24/7 Miami Radio. I'm Louis Chacon, owner and proprietor of 24/7 Miami Radio. And I'd like to extend, I'd like for you to share with all your friends. I always started posting these pictures of like, love, and share. Actually, no, it's like, love, and share. Yeah, I like, love, and share. So if you like what you can hear, share with your friends. We play a lot of different things in Spanish. We also have Calor y Sabor with Diana Monroy, which has a show on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock. She breaks down everything that's happening in the world, in the Spanish-speaking world, with what's happening there in the music and entertainment world. So that's another show you guys can listen to. And then we also have our DJs that you can hear overnight here on 24/7 Miami. From midnight, we give over the station to the DJs, and they take the radio station all the way till about 7 o'clock when we have our other shows coming on. So that's what we have. The two DJs, very big DJs we have here is DJ Leo Miami and also Angel Napoles. Angel Napoles, they're playing all the mixes all overnight. So they take over the station after midnight. So you can, if you're partying, if you're relaxing, you want to hear some good music, check it out here on 24/7 Miami Radio. We're about to be coming up right back with our main man here, Allison Baco with Fantasy Frauds. And hold on, let me open up a mic here. Hey, Al, what's coming up? What was that about you were saying about like when a player goes down and someone comes up, like the third round is very important then? I mean, the third running back or whatever, or RDC.
Yeah,
whatever.
you know, I mean, your second, your backup is the most important player, you know, if somebody gets injured. Now that person becomes a starting running back or the starting wide receiver, and that's something you got to look for in those waiver claims.
So, yeah, you see, look at all these tips you're getting here on Fantasy Fraud. So we're going to come right back right now with our main man here, Allison Baco, here on 24/7 Miami Radio.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Frauds. This is it, guys. It's week 2. You got to be ready now. You're 1-0. You want to go 2-0. I'm going to get you 2-0. You are 0-1. I'm going to get you 1-1. I'm going to get you back to 500, guys. Listen in right here. Now, what I'm going to tell you, Stardom Situm, not your normal people. The people you know are going to start. You're going to start Aaron Rodgers. You're going to start Tom Brady. I'm not going to give you those players. I'm going to give you players that you're probably on the fence about. You don't know what to do. And then I'm going to give you players who are those Adrian Petersons and those Mark Ingrams that you're going to think to yourself, I'm crazy for telling you to sit them down. But keep in mind, when I tell you sit down a player, I'm not telling you to physically sit them down because they may be your horse like an Adrian Peterson. and you're going to play him. And by all means, I would play him as well. But you need to not expect the type of game that you usually know that Adrian Peterson would have for this week. So if I tell you, sit down Adrian Peterson, it's because I'm telling you his expectations this week are not going to be that great. So don't expect much from him. But if I tell you to start somebody, that guy's numbers are going to be very strong this week. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Week 2, start him, sit him. We're going to go with the quarterbacks. For your quarterbacks, after that impressive showing that he had this week against Tampa Bay, I'm going to tell you to go ahead and start Mariota this week. He's going up against a very sad Cleveland Browns team. He is going to have equal the numbers he had last week, if not more. He had 4 touchdowns against Tampa Bay. I want to say he has 5 this week. I'm going out there. I'm telling you, he's my start of the week. He's going to have you 5 touchdowns. He is that impressive, guys. And Cleveland is that unimpressive defense. So watch out for Mariota. There's not a lot of film on Mariota, guys. Keep that in mind. Nobody has seen a lot of Mariota. Cleveland is going to struggle this week. I like Mariota, start of the week quarterback for me. Also want you to start Ryan Tannehill. He's going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a rough showing against Washington, I'll say. Maybe they were a little bit sluggish coming out the gates there, but he started to pick it up. You started to see Landry get some catches. Started to see Jordan Cameron get some catches in the second half. And I think that offense is going to start to click more and more as the season progresses. The Dolphins are going to be a better team, a team that we're not used to seeing, but they will be playoff contention at the end of the season. And I think it's going to be because of Tannehill. And Tannehill, he's playing Jacksonville this week. I want to say he's going to go out and have some big numbers. And I also like Phillip Rivers this week. Again, he had an impressive showing against the Detroit Lions. Going up against Cincinnati this week. Cincinnati went up against Oakland. It was a gimme game for them. This week, they got to get ready. I don't think Pac-Man Jones can get so many heads knocked into helmets this week. I think they're going to struggle big time, and Phillip Rivers is going to be the reason why they're going to struggle because he's going to spread that ball around a lot. So go ahead, start Phillip Rivers very confidently. And for a lot of you players out there who have Drew Brees, a great quarterback, but he didn't look that great against Arizona this week. This week, he's got a great matchup. Tampa Bay. Do you guys remember who Tampa Bay faced this past week? It was Mariota, who got 4 touchdowns. And Drew Brees is a way better quarterback than Mariota is. And I want to say that Drew Brees is going to put up great numbers this week. So start Drew Brees as well. For your sit-em quarterbacks, don't start Peyton Manning against Kansas City. Kansas City, strong defense, guys. You guys are looking for a defense. Kansas City is a defense you may want to think about picking up. But Kansas City going up against Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning does not look comfortable with that offense as of yet. So I would not start Peyton Manning if you have him. Like I mentioned in the beginning, he's your stud. He's your horse quarterback. You're going to go with him. Do not expect big numbers from Peyton Manning this week, going up against a very tough defense. Another quarterback to sit, Ben Roethlisberger. Sure, he's got Antonio Brown. That's a shocker. I just said that name right now, and my program director said, you're crazy. I am. I can be crazy, guys, but it's the honest truth. Guess who is going up against Roethlisberger this week? The 49ers. My team taking on Pittsburgh this week. That defense is for real, guys. They are no joke. They lost a lot of players, but they look strong. Held Minnesota, who's probably going to be the surprise team of the year this year, held them to 3 points. That is incredible stat considering they had Adrian Peterson there. They had Mike Wallace there. They had a much improved Teddy Bridgewater. And they were only held to 3 points. Guys, outstanding play by the San Francisco 49ers. They're going up against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is upset about their loss to New England. They are going to be struggling this week as well. Keep Roethlisberger in check this week. I also think that Tom Brady, despite the amazing game he had and a player like Gronkowski, is going to have a rough game this week. What? What? No, you're crazy. Al, how can you say that, Al? That's Tom Brady. Did you see him throw 3 touchdowns to Gronkowski? I saw it, guys. But he's going up against the Bills. And guess who went up against the Bills last week? Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck did not have a good game, guys. He was struggling the entire first half. The end of the second half, he was struggling. He caught 1 touchdown, guys. That's not Andrew Luck numbers. Andrew Luck is a 3-touchdown passer guy, and he could not get it done against the Bills. The Bills are a good defense. Rex Ryan knows what he's doing with that defense. He's going to continue to play a strong defense. Keep your emotions in check with Tom Brady this week, guys. Not going to get you the same number he got you last week. Moving on to running backs. There's a lot of running backs, guys, that you can start, but I'm going to go over the running backs that you're probably on the fence about. I do want to give you my starting running back of the week, DeMarco Murray. He's going up against Dallas. He's going back home, and he's going to prove to them that they made a mistake in trading him. He is a beast. He's going to show Jerry Jones he made a mistake. They should have kept him in Dallas. Here he's coming back, and it's going to happen today. It's going to happen this week, guys. So DeMarco Murray, good start. As I mentioned before, New Orleans is going up against Tampa Bay. So Mark Ingram, he's a must start there. Carlos Hyde, I don't care who he's playing. He's going to blow up every single defense. So put Carlos Hyde in your lineup this week. One guy had a decent game. Justin Forsett this week going up against Oakland. I think he's going to have a great week this week. So let's do Justin Forsett as a starter. And, of course, the Dolphins going up against Jacksonville. That offense, I think this is a game where they're going to get it going. Lamar Miller is a running back that you want to start. Now, running backs you want to sit. Here come the shockers, guys. Peterson, don't get your expectations high. Minnesota doesn't know what they're doing with Peterson. San Francisco, a strong defense. Peterson this week going up against Detroit. And Melvin Gordon only had 60 yards last week against Detroit. Going to probably be much of the same there. Also, do not like Alfred Blue this week. He's going up against Carolina. Very strong defense there in North Carolina. You don't want to start him this week. And Alfred Morris had a great game last week against the Dolphins, was running all up and down. This week he's going up against a tough Seattle defense. You're going to want to temper expectations there for him. Moving on to the wide receivers, guys. You got to start Hopkins. At any point, guys, it doesn't matter who his quarterback was last week. He caught a touchdown from both of them. He is a absolute beast in the wide receiver position. He's going to continue to be that way. Keep starting Hopkins. John Brown, my sleeper this year. It looks like Carson Palmer and him have a connection. They're going to continue to have a connection. Keep him in your lineup this week. They're going up against the Chicago D that struggled. Gave James Jones 2 touchdowns coming back to Green Bay. So I think there's going to be a lot of the same there with John Brown. And last week, guys, Macklin did not have a good week. Very, very timid week. This is where the wide receiver scores a touchdown for Kansas City. Macklin is going to get it done this week. Get him started in your lineup. And as mentioned before, Cleveland facing Mariota, you're going to definitely want to start Kendall Wright. All right, so going now to your wide receiver that you want to sit, AJ Green going up against Sandy. I said it, AJ Green, do not expect many numbers from him. Demarius Thomas. That offense still needs to get working, guys. It still needs to click. It's not right now. Keep his numbers tempered as well. Julian Edelman going up against Baltimore. New England has Gronkowski. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Going up against the Bills. My mistake. New England has Gronkowski. They're going to want to force it to him, but the Bills are going to make sure that Edelman is held on check. So that is going to be a good sit for you this week. And also, Andre Johnson. I know he's a Colt now. T.Y. Hilton is gone. Guess who's covering Andre Johnson this week, guys? Revis Island. I would not expect huge numbers from him, guys. So that's all I'm going to go through, guys. I'm going through quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Don't worry about your tight ends. Those are going to be your main players you want to focus on. That is my stardom sit-em for week 2, guys. Do not mess up your fantasy. Week 2, strong week to pick up your players that are waiver wires that are going to be helping you throughout the season. You want to make sure you get your guns out there. Regardless if I tell you you're sitting them, they are your guns, guys. You're going to go walk with them. You're going to run the line with them. Whatever happens, if you fail with your team. But these are people that I can tell you will have tough games this week. So do not freak out. And as I mentioned before, in the beginning of the week, of the segments, do not hesitate on your players. It's only week 1. It's only week 2. Give it time to unfold itself, and you will reap the benefits at the end. And if you don't, keep listening right here to the Fantasy Frauds, 247miami.tv. We're on every Tuesdays, 9 o'clock, letting you know who your waiver claims are going to be for Wednesday, letting you know who you should start for those Thursday night games and the following week games. I'm going to be here for you all season, guys. I'm going to bring you guests. Thank you so much, Periscope, for listening, for watching me. YouTube, always a pleasure to be online with you guys. And I'm going to be here the whole season, guys. So enjoy fantasy this week, guys. Good luck to all of you who are 1-0 and looking to go 2-0. Good luck to all of you 0-1 who want to go 1-1. I'm going to make sure it gets done, guys. Keep it locked right here, 247miami.tv. We got you covered. News, sports, entertainment, anything you want. And thanks for listening to the Fantasy Frauds. Al Simbaco, out. Good luck.